Thanks for tuning in to Electric Bike Journal. In today's video, we'll be talking about the Velotric T1 and more specifically the upgrades we've made to the T1 along the way, and hopefully help you decide if these upgrades are the right upgrade for you. The T1 is a flat bar electric gravel bike from Velotric that we had a chance to do a tech check on earlier this year, so be sure to click that link if you want to find out everything there is to know about the T1. In short, for those of you that don't know, this is an aluminum frame electric gravel bike, has an integrated 350 watt-hour battery, uses a 350 watt rear drive hub motor, uses a Shimano 8-speed, and uses 700C wheels with Tektro hydraulic disc brakes. In its original setup, it's a great candidate at $17.99 to become your next commuter or electric gravel bike, just whatever you're looking for. It's a great price point and you're really getting a lot of bike. They have a really cool app as well that allows you to change different tuning modes, as well as use their app in a kind of Find My feature to locate this bike if it happens to go missing or you don't know where you parked it. Now, we've had the T1 for a while, like I said, since that tech check, and we're doing a long-term review on this bike, but along the way we want to do some upgrades to this bike to increase the performance abilities of it, as well as add some extra comfort for myself when out riding. With a 71-mile range and being an electric gravel bike, I wanted to go out to the woods and really put this bike through its paces. So all of these upgrades have a purpose, and for me, I was able to find the benefits of them. But as we get into it, we'll help you decide whether or not each one of these upgrades is right for you. Now, to kick things off, we started with the tires, and that was before we did anything else to this bike. The tires that come with the T1 aren't bad. They have a nice puncture resistance, but they were about a 38C width, which didn't quite have the right width and or tread pattern on the tire to offer the traction that I was looking for when riding out in the woods. We went ahead and swapped over to the WTB RESOLUTE tires. These are a 42C tire, and they do have that SG2 puncture protection in them, so they've held up very well. We've got hundreds of miles on this bike now with these tires on it, both on pavement, really rocky, sharp fire roads, and even single track out in the woods that likely you're only going to see a mountain biker on. So really have been able to add a lot of riding confidence to this bike just by swapping out the tires, and that's where we wanted to start and where we would suggest you to start in upgrading either the T1 or really any other bike. Stepping away from those tires, we kind of move upwards a little bit, and these upgrades were done more so for comfort. Sticking with that WTB theme, we put the WTB DEVO saddle on there. This is an e-bike saddle, maybe one of the first. It has a handle on the back. They call it the pickup handle. So a nice spot to grab the bike from when it's all muddy and you need to load it up onto a bike rack, or maybe you need a little extra help pushing it up a hill because you can't quite pedal it. Great saddle for that. This saddle works great for me. It's the right width, it's the right length, but it might not be the right saddle for you. So if you are looking for one, WTB does have a wide range of saddles in different widths and lengths, and even different thicknesses of paddings or types of paddings, so you can really find the right saddle for you. But we would definitely encourage you to check out the DEVO saddle. You're in the saddle a lot, so this is a very important spot for your lower end to be comfortable along the way. The saddle that comes on the T1 though, oddly, surprisingly, was really comfortable. It just was a little bit long, and I found myself catching shorts and stuff on it often, as well as my shorts kind of sliding on it. So a little bit more grip on the DEVO, as well as that shorter length. So I feel a little bit safer while riding, especially on more rocky and looser trails. Moving away from the saddle, we went to our handlebar setup. This was very specific to me and not an upgrade that I think everyone needs to do, but it's an upgrade that I find myself doing on a lot of bikes that I test and a lot of bikes that I ride and own personally. Bar width is a very important thing for myself, and I would say is probably a really important thing for you. Beyond the rise and beyond the sweep, having the right width of handlebars adds that comfort and control that you need to be able to really ride your bike the best way, especially if you're riding aggressively. I went with the PNW range bars. These are handlebars that I've ridden on a lot of mountain bikes, and it's the first time I've run them on a gravel bike, and I've been very grateful to have them on here. They come at 800 millimeter width, and I was able to cut those down to 760 millimeters. So I was able to extend my handlebar width by about 100 millimeters, which really added a lot of comfort and a lot more control when riding this, especially on those steeper descents. Like it's real tight and twisty. I was able to have the right control. Match those with PNW Loam grips, which are great all-weather grips. They shed water really well. A little bit wider diameter than the original grips that come on this bike. They're a little bit longer as well, so I have a little bit more room to move my hands around on them. And they are a locking grip as well, so they don't slide. We have a full write-up on the website on those if you want to find out more about them and see some of the other colors that they offer these grips in. To mount these all to the bike, we did the PNW Coast stem in a 100 millimeter length. That just happened to be the right length for me for the reach I wanted while riding this bike. For different riders, different length arms, different torso lengths, stem length, bar sweep, all of those things come into play. So before you go out and just order these parts, not that you won't be excited to have them and it won't likely make your riding experience better, they might not be the right exact parts for you. So be sure to look into that before you make any upgrade decisions as far as that goes. Well, with those priority upgrades that we suggest to a lot of people out of the way, we step into the more specific and definitely more labor intensive upgrades to the T1. That'd be the seat post and the suspension fork. Starting with that seat post, we went with a PNW Loam dropper, the 125 millimeter length. Now, why would you change your seat post? Well, most commonly, changing your seat post is for looks, as well as generally getting a lighter weight one, or in this case, getting a dropper post. That allows us to lower that seat out of the way. Very common and a great upgrade to a mountain bike, having that seat out of the way when you're going downhill and you're already standing anyways, you're not seated down. It's a great way to just have more maneuverability of the bike when you need to be able to move it around. For a gravel bike, it's starting to make its way into the scene a little bit more common. A lot of people are doing this upgrade in the gravel world. This upgrade isn't 100% for everyone. Beyond its usage, it doesn't work with every single bike. It is more specific, and there are a couple solutions for bikes that don't have internal routing. The T1 has internal cable routing, so we are able to run this dropper post as well as many other dropper posts on the market. They do offer external cable dropper posts, and if you really want to spend a few extra bucks, you can get an electronic one that a battery goes on and has a wireless switch. But most droppers are internally routed cable droppers. And for us, we not only had to figure out what length we needed, but we had to verify that we could in fact run those cables through the frame safely. This took the most time out of every upgrade. We had to remove the battery, move some other parts out of the way. It was labor intensive, and I would say is an upgrade that isn't quite for the faint of heart. And if you don't have many bike mechanic skills, it may just be a little bit too much for you, and you might want to phone a friend or have a shop do that install for you. Comparatively, if you aren't looking to do an actual dropper post, there are some suspension seat post options. We've reviewed a couple in the past, and those do offer a lot of comfort and are significantly less work to get the install done. So if you're looking for a few other options, we'll link those as well. The suspension fork is the last thing that we've done to this bike. And as far as performance goes, this is something that has changed this bike for the better and made it so much more enjoyable to ride. This is a 40 millimeter suspension fork. It has an equalizer on that. It's the technology from SR Suntour that balances your positive and negative air chambers. Really makes this fork very comfortable on the fast, chattery gravel roads. It is not by any means a mountain bike fork, and so you definitely can use that 40 millimeters of travel if you are going a little bit too big on this bike. But as a gravel bike, I'm not riding mountain bike trails. I'm not trying to jump it. I was looking for the comfort on fire roads and loose gravel. It does offer a lot of performance benefits for not just the comfort and what it translates from the ground to my body, but also being able to absorb a lot of the ground to keep me on track, keep me on line. When you're going a little bit faster downhill, all those little bumps can kick you off path and end up badly. So having a nice suspension fork on there, specifically this one, is a great improvement to how this bike performs. This upgrade though is not an upgrade that's meant for every single bike. Similar to the seat post, you have to make sure it fits the bike itself. And beyond that, you have to verify that you have the right wheel for the fork. Otherwise, you have to also get a new wheel. Additionally, the amount of travel that the fork has, whether it be this one or a different option, if it is too long, too much travel, it'll affect the geometry of the bike. Velotric, just like any other brand, their engineers design their bikes with specific numbers, and that is how they test it to then bring it to market. And when you affect those numbers and change what you're doing to the geometry of a bike, you are affecting the durability of the bike itself. This fork happened to not affect those numbers drastically. It wasn't a dramatic change by any means. And for the performance benefits, the change works in our favor on this. Well, we might encourage you to wait it out a little bit before you jump into that fork. The rest of these upgrades really do offer a lot of benefits to this bike without pushing you into a $1,300 price point complete for all these upgrades. So as a whole, with everything that we've done to this bike, we are just over that $1,300 mark, and we would definitely say that that $400 window for the tires, tubes, seat, handlebars, those have made the most dramatic impact. And that's where we encourage a lot of people to start when looking into upgrading their bikes. The seat post and the fork, now these really are for people that want to ride aggressively and really optimize this bike for a very specific type of riding. But that person is also likely looking competitively at other bikes that are well over the $3,000 price point, and they're just a little out of reach for them, or they can't justify the purchase. So that's where my question to you starts. Is investing $1,300 into an $1,800 electric gravel bike worth it? Would you do it? And if so, what do you think you would upgrade first? We're curious, we wanna know. We looked around at the other $300 to $3,500 electric gravel bikes on the market, and you're not getting a dropper post and you're not getting a suspension fork with those options, and there aren't many options as well in that. But overall, when it comes to upgrading your electric bike, or any bike for that matter, comfort, those are great places to start. Having the right handlebars on there, the right grips, the right saddle, that's where your body is sitting on the bike, and that's where you can change how well it feels very quickly. Beyond that, the tires are a crucial element of every bike. They are made specifically for different types of riding. So getting intentional tires for that type of riding is a great direction and great upgrade for any bike. And a lot of people, you might have a year or two on the tires you have already, and you are looking to get a new set of tires. So look around, there are a lot of great options out there. These tires are great for the type of riding we want to do on this bike, but if we were only riding it on the pavement, we would definitely go a different route to add that efficiency and extend the amount of power and the amount of battery range that this bike gets. They don't impact the range too much. The hills definitely play a greater part on battery life, but we do notice a slight change in range overall for a heavier tire with more lug pattern. They just aren't as efficient on the road. We'll have write-ups on each one of the components specifically that we chose to put onto this bike, so you can read in depth about each element of it. Although they work for us, they might not be the right upgrade for you. This is just a good overview of the options and really to show you what you can do to your own personal bike. Well, thank you so much for watching. We hope this video was helpful to you and encouraging you to customize and personalize your bike, to get specific components on there, to optimize it, to make it the best for the type of riding that you're doing. If you can help us out by clicking subscribe down below, that helps our channel grow so we can continue to offer informational videos like this. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you in the next one.